Hey everybody, welcome to the All Clemson Tigers football show, part of Clemson Maven's multimedia platform. I'm Brad Sinkoff, joined by Jason Priester and Will Vandervoort, as we are live here at ACC Kickoff. Day one in the books, just wrapped up a few minutes ago. Georgia Tech was the last team to go, and we're going to share some thoughts with you as we talk about what happened. You can also go to allclemsontigers.com and find some great work already up there. So we'll get into that and kind of what we learned from three opponents that Clemson is going to face this season. We heard from Syracuse, we heard from Miami, and we heard from Georgia Tech. So we'll break down all three of those and give you our thoughts on it. But Will, let's start with this. The commissioner, Jim Phillips, spoke today. What was your big takeaway from what the commission had to say?
You know, and I think a lot of people out there are wondering, exactly what's going on with the ACC. Will there be an ACC in the future, Brad? We don't know. I'm going to be honest with you, from the comments he said today, didn't make me feel any better about it. I'll be honest with you.
Not very reassuring, huh?
No. He said that he was bullish about the teams and the schools are together and as one. But I just think that's just PR stuff.
It sounds good.
It sounds good, but he did mention that there are several teams that they have talked that expressed concerns, if you will, and he feels like with their new incentive revenue thing they have in place, that should help ease some of that. But I can tell you that it's not what I'm hearing. They got a long way to get that to where they want it to be, to where the schools like Clemson and Florida State, for instance, feel better about it. It was good the way he sounded. It sounded good and all, but I think there's more to it than what he's actually saying or is going to say. And I get that and I understand that. He's not going to come out and just say, yeah, we're going to fold. I think, he did point out the ACC is third in overall revenue right now behind the Big Ten and the SEC. And he said also he wanted to, bridge that gap somewhat. And they're going to try to find ways to do that. And they did say they're talking with ESPN about maybe helping in some way. Now, my thing is, ESPN is going through a lot of financial struggles right now. I don't know how they're going to help.
I'm not sure that's the company I want to be focused on talking to right now.
Exactly.
Now, and he also said that the relationship is strong with ESPN, which is great, but ESPN's strength is not really money right now. So if you're trying to get money out of them, that may not be the best way to go. But he also, I thought it was interesting when he worded it. He said they want to chase dollars. Right. They want to chase success. What did you take away from that comment?
Yeah, it kind of made me raise my eyebrow, if you will, a little bit, because I'm like, okay, you want to chase success but not dollars, but doesn't that kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah, they do. They work together.
They work together. So if you're successful, the dollars do come. So in a way, you are chasing the dollars because hey, Clemson and Florida State, if they can get both in the college football playoffs this year, that's great for the ACC. And by the way, that's not a long shot, is to say that. It really isn't. I know that some people out there be like, well, what are you talking about? But we saw it a couple years ago with Clemson and Notre Dame both going to the college football playoff. So it's not a long shot. Depends on how the bread falls, I guess.
But my concern with that comment, though, is you still have to have the money to have success. And that's what's going to happen as the Big Ten and the SEC rake in so much more dough than teams in the ACC. Let's talk about some teams that we heard from today, some coaches and players. Jason, I'll start with Syracuse. The Orange almost got Clemson in Death Valley this past season. Now the Tigers go up there, and Dino Babers has been tough to beat at times for Dabo Swinney. What did you hear from the Orange that maybe stood out to you?
This sounds like a very confident Syracuse team. They believe they are going to be very good. They got off to the 6-0 start last year, kind of got beat up with some injuries, and that's what I heard a lot today. The injuries held us back last year. We're healthy now. Garrett Schrader kind of said, hey, this is the year. We're going to get them. And they kind of walked it back a little bit and said, I hope so. But he put it out there,
Oh, hold on a second. I hope so.
That's a very confident bunch. They believe they are going to be a very good team this year, and that place has not always been kind to Clemson.
Yeah. Clearly that's a team that has given them some trouble, but boy, that's some strong words to throw out there. Will, you got a chance to hear from Georgia Tech today as well. Anything stand out from the Yellow Jackets?
The thing with Georgia Tech is they haven't beat Clemson, I think, Jason, what did you say, 8 times?
8 years.
8 years.
8
8
years.
games.
And I know, JP, you asked one of them about that streak, and also a couple years ago. What was his response?
I asked him what he remembered about the game in Death Valley, when they were that close to getting that win in 2021, and he said, I don't remember that game. I had to go back and watch the film.
Well, so that kind of tells you in a nutshell. I think Georgia Tech's just trying to, their coach today. I thought he was actually really impressive, and I enjoyed. He kind of got onto the media because they kept saying expectations, and he says he hates that word expectations. He says because you put too much pressure on things. So he kept, I think 3 straight times somebody asked about expectations. He says, what did I just tell you about expectations? I don't talk about expectations. But he had a very good sense of humor. I really enjoyed listening to him, and also the message that he sent, and it was a message of they understand that they're behind everybody right now when it comes to personnel and things of that nature, but they feel like if they just work hard, that they can outwork some people, and that's going to get them some wins and surprise some people. So seemed like a pretty confident group, pretty loose, and their head coach. I really enjoyed his demeanor and how he handled himself up there on the podium.
Fun fact about Brent Key, the new head coach of Georgia Tech, never lost to Clemson when he played at Georgia Tech. A perfect 4-0 from 97 through 2000.
Wow.
I brought that up to him. He remembered that. He hasn't forgotten that. But he also lost to Clemson in 16 when he was at Alabama, and in 18 when he was at Alabama. So he doesn't have a perfect record against them, but he did as a player, and that's something that he certainly remembers. But yeah, I'm like you. I came away kind of impressed with him. He was very complimentary of Dabo Swinney and the Clemson program and what they've done. The last team that I want to touch on, the Miami Hurricanes, maybe the quote-unquote headliner of the day here in Charlotte, ACC Kickoff Day 1. And I think that Mario Cristobal has got a lot of work to do. You saw him coming off a 5-7 season. They host Clemson this year, which is a big deal for them. I think Cristobal's trying to get this thing rolling in the right direction. He made coaching changes after hiring 2 guys in his first year. He got rid of both of them and got 2 new coaches to run his offense and his defense. So ever changing at Miami, but I have this stat that I found. In 19 seasons in the ACC, Miami has had 1 10-win season. They won 1 coastal
I did not
title,
know that.
and they finished unranked 13 of those 19 years.
So that was 2017 then, right, when they lost to Clemson?
The Mark Richt year. Yeah, that was the only time the token field goal by Mark Richt that he kicked.
The token field goal.
Just to avoid the shutout. So that's the best Miami's been in the entire run of the ACC in 19 seasons.
Well, you knew Mario Cristobal. I knew he was an offensive lineman already, but it really showed today when he got breakfast. That man can eat some eggs, dude. I mean, he piled them up there, then. He had some eggs like that, some bacon. Now, he did have the fruit and stuff over there, too, but, man, that guy can eat some eggs, man. He loves him some eggs.
I also noticed it with his hands. That sounds really weird, but I noticed his hands.
Yeah,
and he's got
he
this
did.
one
Giant
finger that is like contorted and been broken so many times, and it points in an odd direction. That's an offensive lineman.
Absolutely.
What did you hear from Tyler Van Dyke? I talked to him a little bit too. That's a guy, the quarterback, had a bad year last year, injuries, just inconsistencies, didn't work with Josh Gaddis as the OC. What did he say about Clemson today?
Yeah, he said he was really down the fact that the one stadium he wanted to play when he came into the ACC, he wanted to play at Death Valley. And so he went 2020 as a freshman, and he was redshirting, so he didn't get to play in that game. He was there, but he didn't get to play. And then he said, of course, last year he was there, but he was injured, and so he didn't get to play. So he's like, I've been there twice and didn't even step on the doggone field either time. He said that's like one of the biggest regrets he has in his football career, that he didn't get to play in Death Valley. But he says he is excited about playing them this year. That's kind of one of the games they're kind of looking at.
Yeah, he called Clemson the benchmark team of the ACC.
That's what he told me too, and he says he's really thrilled that he's going to get the opportunity this year to play. I mean, he played in 9 games last year, and 6 of them he left with injuries. That's how rough of a year he had.
He told me 1 week he only threw the ball twice the entire week because he was so banged up he couldn't literally throw the ball, and he was at 50% when he went out there. So that's really tough.
Yeah.
One last thing on Mario Cristobal, Jason, you'll find funny. I was asking about the recruiting calendar and everything, and he said, how much time you got? Like he wanted to like really spill it. But I thought what was really funny was he said, y'all realize how wild June is now? And I almost went and grabbed you and said, this guy right here knows what June is like. Because if you've been to allclemsontigers.com, or if you're following us on our YouTube channel, which you should be subscribing to, Jason's been just all over the place, crushing it with the recruiting and the updates in the news. So June is a wild month. July's turned into a pretty wild month. And make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button on YouTube, and continue to follow us. Well, gentlemen, this wraps things up for day one of ACC Kickoff. We'll be here tomorrow. 2 teams on Clemson's schedule will be speaking. Florida State, I think that's a headliner. I agree.
No doubt about it. It's going to be interesting to see what it's like tomorrow. It's going to be like old Bobby Bowden days, I think.
And then another headliner, the Duke Blue Devils and Mike Elko, the team that Clemson opens the season with on Labor Day night. So I'd say that's going to be a really big deal. Talk to those 2 teams tomorrow.
I'm really looking forward to talking to Coach Elko and his players. I think Duke is going to be one of the more entertaining, teams of this. Not only of this ACC Media Days, but also this coming season. I really like this Duke football team.
Make sure you go to allclemsontigers.com for all the latest, and we appreciate you being with us this evening as we're wrapping up day one of ACC Kickoff. I want to thank Jason. I want to thank Will. I want to thank Kayla Abercrombie from behind the camera for helping us out. She did a great job on a good story about Eric McClain, the former Clemson Tiger, now ACC analyst, sits out there on the ACC Network TV area.
Big time.
And it has all the lights and the makeup and runners. And all
Remember
that
we
stuff.
used to interview
Where are your
you?
runners? Where are your runners?
Yeah, my runner, I don't have a runner.
Okay.
I'm the runner. I run myself.
Not well sometimes.
As you can see.
That being said, go check that out at allclemsontigers.com and check back with us tomorrow. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We'll be bringing you more shows here from ACC Kickoff Day 2. Take care. We'll talk to you tomorrow.